So the All-Star game is less than 10 days away, and the Mets being in first place definitely opens the doors for a lot of possible All-Star candidates. So let's try to figure out who deserves an All-Star spot on the Mets roster.
On 3-2, Vader swings and misses, strike three. He struck him out. 5 Met pitchers combined for the second no-hitter in New York Mets history.
Now, last year, we only had one singular All-Star who fell off the entire face of the earth in Taijuan Walker in the second half. But this year, you're probably going to have multiple All-Stars. We already know that Alonso and Marte are in contention to be starters. Most likely will not be, but they definitely will be selected to the All-Star game. Is there anyone who's a no-doubter for you that should be 100% there?
Obviously, you said Pete and Marte are on that final vote for the starting position. Both of them probably going to lose. One of the two, I think Pete is the more guaranteed of the two to make the team. We'll make a case for the one of the outfielders later. But you look at Pete. Pete's probably going to back up Goldie. Goldie should be the guy starting at first base. Non-biased. It should be Paul Goldschmidt. And then Pete to be that backup. You look at Edwin Diaz. I think those are your two locks. I think Diaz, they usually don't bring a lot of relievers, but I think Haterade will be there, and I believe Edwin Diaz should be there out of the bullpen for the National League. Those are my two guarantees. And they almost lock is Jeff McNeil, the Vietnamese all-star guy, comes out of nowhere, just taking the league by storm, and should be the starting second baseman, and should be in where Ozzie Albies is. But yet Braves fans got to stuff the ballot for their average second baseman, and now Jazz will start, which he sucks too. And yet Jeff McNeil will probably have to be on the bench when he should be starting at second base. But I think those are the three locks, in my opinion, is Edwin Diaz, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil.
I'm also going to add a lock to this, and I really want it to be Francisco Lindor as a lock. He probably isn't compared to guys like Dansby Swanson and Trey Turner, and like a lot of these guys at this shortstop position. But I think it's very important that you kind of have Lindor as that guy to represent this team. Even though he's had his rough patches this season, I think that overall he has been playing like the player we've expected him to be. Overall, as a hitter, we already know how he is, and that's kind of just how I really expected him to be offensively. But overall, as a player, he's on pace for a 5-win season. He still is, and he's still playing well like the player that he was almost paid to be. A 5-win season is an all-star caliber season. He should be considered to be a lock. He probably won't be. Again, tons of shortstop talent in this league this year, but other than that, I think Lindor should definitely be there as well. Now, you get to our outfield in general. I think everyone in our starting outfield has a case to make the All-Star game. Mark Canha has always been one to always play under the radar and has always really hid from that All-Star level. But this year, he's definitely been good. He slowed down these last few weeks. I definitely think he deserves to be one, but I don't see him getting it, mainly just because of him just not being that household of a name, to be honest. I hate the All-Star voting. I hate the combination of how they do it. Who follows who on Instagram is basically who gets in at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Lindor would have been in consideration a couple weeks ago. You're talking during that prime stretch where he was just absolutely tearing the cover off the ball. You could have made the argument he should be starting at shortstop for the National League. But then obviously Trey Turner went bonkers. Dansby Swanson went absolute nuts. So those two guys are ahead of him. Is there a chance he sneaks on as like that maybe third? Because they do bring a lot of middle infielders. Is there a chance? And like you said, it is kind of a show. It's a showman game. He does have a huge fan base, obviously being in New York, Cleveland, Puerto Rico. He is kind of the, I wouldn't say ambassador of Puerto Rican baseball. You can make that argument that it's Yachty, but in the new generation, he is kind of the face of Puerto Rican baseball. You maybe make your take it Correa or Javi, whoever, but he would think it's either Correa, in my opinion, it's Correa or Lindor. By the record, we are the best team in the National League, so we should have the most. The fact that the team that's chasing us has guys in the final, more guys in the final vote than us, let their fan base stuff the ballot as much as possible. I mean, besides like Trey Turner and Dansby, there really isn't that third shortstop where like it's jumping to mind. Oh, he has to be there. Like you look at throughout the league in the National League, like we said, Brandon Crawford's come down to earth. You look at obviously Tatis not being here. That's really about it. That's really about it. Like of like the star shortstop, a lot of them out now in the American League, but you can make the case that Lindor maybe sneaks on as that third shortstop. I mean, you can make that chance that maybe he sneaks on as like a backup.
One more hat into the ring. I know he's slowed down these past few weeks. He's picked it up recently. Brandon Nimmo. I mean, is this finally the year in his walk year, in his final year where he's like, I got to get paid? Is this the year that he finally makes it to the All-Star game? He most likely should have been, if he was healthy, 2018. Last year, I think he should have gotten it, but he got hurt. So he's been fully healthy this season. Is this the year that he finally gets it, or is he just going to get overloaded by other guys in center field or other guys in the outfield?
I have been disappointed in Brandon Nimmo. Yes, he's turned it on lately. I will always support number 9 on the New York Mets, and depending even if he leaves us or not, I was still obviously had a soft spot for Brandon. You look throughout the game, the outfit. I mean, Starling Marte deserves to be there over. And again, in his own division, on his own team. If you're picking an outfielder for the Mets, it's going to be Starling Marte, and he's had a better overall season consistently because he really has maybe a weak stretch with Marte. He's been consistent the whole season. As much as I would love to say, all-star Brandon Nimmo, and I think I was petitioning in the offseason, and I thought this would be the year. Brandon Nimmo to make the All-Star game. I was petitioning for it in the offseason. I just don't think, again, the WAR looks great. He's definitely improved defensively. He's still, the on-base dog that he is. But I just think if you're going to pick an outfield in the Mets, you could make it should be Starling Marte. Nimmo in that second tier. But you know what? He's valuable. And I think you would say with kind of a Luis Guillorme, he's important. He's important in his own way, except, he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. The people who he's the top 3 center fielder, top 4 center fielder in the game. I just don't think the numbers are as great. Would I be surprised if Brandon Nimmo got on? Would I be surprised if maybe he's on the last man in ballot? I wouldn't be surprised if he's on that last vote in, last man in, or potential injury replacement, because they are going to have to replace Bryce Harper because he's most likely going to win the DH starting job. He could be like a Joey Wendell, where last year, Joey Wendell was an all-star last year. Nobody remembers that because he legit got selected because somebody went injured on that Monday. So there's a chance Brandon's on there. I don't think he'll be on the reveal. That's going to happen on Sunday. I'd say there's a chance last man in ballot or maybe an injury replacement for Brandon.
And then I guess we also have to talk about Taijuan Walker because he has been good in the placement without Jake and Max in there. Results wise, do you think he flukes his way into another all-star selection, or is it actually just going to be cut off and everyone's going to realize, hey, this guy, maybe he's not that good?
He fluked his way last year. It should have been Marcus Stroman. Obviously, it was Jake. It should have been Stroman over him last year, but he got there. Gave up a bomb to Mike Zunino, his former teammate. Yeah, he will not be there. Yes, the counting numbers look good and the ERA looks good, but we all know he's not that good. But again, he's pitched well. But again, he has been valuable. He's been the only guy that's consistently stayed healthy in the rotation, so that is a plus for the Mets. He has fluked his way through some starts that got some good results. He could be, again, the same thing with Nimmo. Pitchers that pitch on that Sunday, and maybe these casuals look at the ERA. Players themselves will be voting for the bench, so I would hope the players realize he's not that really good. But, there's a chance that Brian Schnickner, the Braves manager, takes Buck because he needs to take some coaching staff. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Buck and Dave Roberts. And maybe Buck's like, hey, my guy, maybe flukes his way on with a guy that pitches on Sunday. Has the good ERA, which is good, and throws up zeros and has a good ERA, but he is not in this conversation like last year.
An all-star one year is an all-star forever. So are you sure that...
That is true. You cannot take it away. If you make an all-star team, you can't take it away. But again, last year was different. Obviously, it was just again, they got it wrong last year. He shouldn't have been an all-star last year. Like I said, it should have been Marcus Stroman.
Now, here's an honorable mention of a guy who I think should make it. He does have the former history of making it earlier in his career, and he's been great for us for the most part. He's probably been the second most trusted arm behind Edwin Diaz. Adam Ottavino. This is an interesting one. I doubt this is going to happen, but I do want to put that name out there. Walk rate down. The man's striking out even more batters than he's usually is. He's producing the soft contact. He has definitely been one of our best high leverage arms, probably our only high leverage arm that we can trust behind Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. So pitchers get hurt a lot. Relievers get hurt a lot. Could Adam Ottavino be somebody that you slip in there to replace an injured guy?
No, he's not in that realm. I know he's pitched great for the Mets, but this is the difference between when Diaz is getting it, because Diaz is the best reliever, has been the best statistical reliever in the National League this year, compared to Ottavino, who's had a good year. He's bounced back from his bad year in Boston last year. It would have to take half of the National League bullpen arms to fall off for Adam Ottavino to get in.
Adam Ottavino's ERA is 2.59 right now. So how could you disrespect him like that when he's good ERA, good pitcher? That's very rude of you First of all, the fact that how disrespectful you are to the good ERA, good pitchers,
Oh, he's a good
that's
pitcher.
very upsetting.
He's a good pitcher, except, there's a lot more better good pitchers. So,
Are they really? Are there really better pitchers than Adam Ottavino? No, not really. I'll tell you that right now. I guess people don't like the contact managing, or maybe you're just an idiot. I don't know what to say anymore.
I'll shout out one guy. Guy came up big. Has been coming up big for the Mets lately. It's a weaker position, so he has a good stretch coming to the break. Can make an argument, and that is James McCann. James is going crazy right. Obviously former All-Star, again 2019 All-Star in Cleveland, not the fluky one, 2019. Good year, good All-Star. James is hitting, and we see he is hitting balls in the air, and he hit a 3-run absolute piss missile last night.
I want to know who laughed. Like this joke's not funny anymore. It really is not funny. Like the only thing I really want to do is just choke you. That's literally all I want to do. Just listening to this, it's just like a waste of fresh air.
I know. I've been watching Kung Fu Panda, bro. I know Kung Fu.
Is that because you're built like Kung Fu Panda?
Dude, Poe and me, bro, we smashing dumplings and just big old round thunder thigh looking dudes.
Kung Fu Rhino.
Kung Fu Rhino.